Hello, 7th grade. Again, this video is going to go with your day 2 lesson for the week. Again, if you're doing all of these in one day, more power to you. But on the plan, this goes with lesson 2. So I just want to look at a few examples of poetry. I don't know what's going to happen after spring break, if we're going to continue on in poetry or if we're going to do something new. But these were a couple of things that I could just get out. That I think are super fun to do and write and study. And so that's what we're going to do this week. But we're going to look at 3 types of poems today. A free verse poem, a poem that rhymes, and haiku. Okay, all are fun to read and talk about. They are fun to write on our own. I know you guys are excited about that. I'm excited about reading them. And they're just fun to talk about, I think. So we're going to look at 2 different free verse poems. Now remember, a free verse poem does not rhyme at all. There are a lot of different styles and ways to write free verse poetry. One of the examples that I gave you for today is called Fog by Carl Sandburg, and I'm going to flip my camera around. I'm getting so techie. This is in the Poetry Examples document that is posted in the classroom. It'll be posted with this video. But this poem, Fog, do you see the shape? Where's my finger? There we go. Okay, the shape of the poem. Okay, that's exactly how Carl Sandburg did it. I just retyped it just like he had it. So it says fog. The fog comes on little cat feet. It sits looking over harbor and city on silent haunches and then moves on. So when we look at this poem, there's no rhyme, there's no meter. The lines are willy-nilly. Since we can't sit and have a discussion about this, I'm going to tell you what I think. If you think I'm crazy, that's fine. You can comment and say, Mrs. Burnett, I think you're crazy. And probably am, but that's okay. So like it says, the fog comes on little cat feet. Now I know you're not all cat people and that's okay, but I think of how like cats are like sneaky, snaky animals and they're like really silent. So you can't hear them coming. Like the fog comes in silently. Sits over the harbor and city and then moves on. And you see how his poem is diagonal, and that reminds me of just like the fog rolling in and then going out. And I just think it's kind of a cool image there. It sits on silent haunches. You know, like the fog sits like a cat does, quiet, just sits for a second and then moves on. So that's just one example of a poem. It's a short one. I thought you would like it because it was short. The next one is another good one by Walt Whitman. He's written some really good stuff. And I want to talk through it and stuff with you. Sorry if this is like super awkward to do it. But it says, why who makes much of a miracle? As to me, I know of nothing else but miracles. Whether I walk the streets of Manhattan, or dart my sight over the roofs of houses toward the sky, or wade with naked feet along the beach just in the edge of the water, or stand under trees in the woods, or talk by day with anyone I love, or sleep in a bed at night with anyone I love, or sit at a table at dinner with the rest, or look at strangers opposite me riding in the car, or watch honeybees busy around the hive of a summer forenoon, or animals feeding in the fields, or birds, or the wonderfulness of insects in the air, or the wonderfulness of the sundown, or of the stars shining so quiet and bright, or the exquisite delicate thin curve of the new moon in spring. These with the rest, one and all, are all to me miracles, the whole referring, yet each distinct and in its place. So he gives this whole list of things that he thinks are miracles, and I just think that's a cool poem, especially today when we're like looking, outside, at our friends who can't come in our house, or, we can't leave or go anywhere or do anything. Everything's canceled. But there are so many things that we can look at and think of as miracles because God created them, and God has purpose and plans for those things. He goes on to say, to every hour of the light and dark is a miracle. Every cubic inch of space is a miracle. Every square yard of the surface of the earth is spread with the same. Every foot of the interior swarms with the same. To me, the sea is a continual miracle. The fishes that swim, the rocks, the motion of the waves, the ships with men in them. What stranger miracles are there? So he gives some more examples of things that he thinks are miraculous. Again, no rhyme. He gives description. We've got imagery in there. Pretty much it's just his thoughts and a list of things that he thinks are miraculous. I think it's a pretty sweet poem. Next, poems that rhyme. So rhyming words have the same ending sounds, right? You all know that. We talked when we were studying Romeo and Juliet about meter. Sometimes rhyming poems tend to have meter because they have like that sing-songy pattern, the way they're written. The poem that I chose for you for rhyme is called The Germ by Ogden Nash. It just made me laugh. It's actually from a PowerPoint that I have on poetry from a long time ago, and it was an example there, and I just thought it was, relevant and spoke to our time. So, The Germ by Ogden Nash. A mighty creature is the germ, though smaller than the pachyderm. His customary dwelling place is deep within the human race. His childish pride he often pleases by giving people strange diseases. Do you, my poppet, feel infirm? You probably contain a germ. This also has a really cool word in it, poppet. Like, that's a sweet word. You need to start calling your siblings that. Like, oh, hey, poppet. I'm sure they'll love it. But you've got the rhyme, right? You guys know about rhyme. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time going over that. The last poem we're going to look at today is haikus. So haikus are 17 syllables, and they're made up of 3 lines. 5 syllables in the first line, 7 in the second line, and then 5 in the last line. Okay? So I wrote you one on my own, which I'm going to let you find for yourself because I think it's a classic form of poetry and it will be a surprise. And then the other example that I gave you it's an untitled haiku. And it says, an old silent pond, a frog jumps into the pond, splash, silence again. So you have an old silent pond, a frog jumps into the pond, splash, silence again. Okay? So those are your 3 samples of poetry. Haikus don't have to rhyme. The one that I wrote for you rhymes a little bit. But I'm sure they're probably difficult to make them rhyme. I'll give you bonus points if you can rhyme your haikus. That'll be great. So your assignment to go with this, you're going to post it in the poetry examples assignment in the classroom. You are going to write one of each poem. So a haiku, a poem that rhymes, and a poem that doesn't rhyme, free verse. I'm not putting a line limit on them, except for the haiku, obviously. It has to fit the requirements of a haiku. But you can't just skimp on me. Like, if you give me 5 lines, they better be really, really good lines. Okay? Entertainment is great. I love to be entertained. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to laugh. You can make me cry if you want to. Either way, it works. Okay? So, if you have any questions, shoot me an email, and I will see you sometime. Bye, guys.